Right, well, the holidays can be a hard time for people who have long-standing grudges or disputes with friends or family. And while forgiveness isn't always easy to do, experts say it's important for our mental and physical health that we try. So, joining me to discuss this and dive into this topic is community correspondent Myra Skye. Hello. Author of Life, Beth Carey. Licensed clinical social worker, Kristen Mize. Hello, my friends. Hi. Welcome. Welcome to the table. We're talking about something that might be a little bit difficult to get into, but we're going to tackle it. So, who here has been guilty of holding a grudge?
I mean, yeah.
Sure?
Yeah,
All of us?
absolutely.
Beth, no?
Small.
Yeah.
But, I'm really not a grudge holder. I'm more of a conservative, like, distance person.
Okay.
If someone's, getting me to that point where I'm angry, I just kind of pull back a little bit and give some space.
Right. I would say I'm similar in that way because I really feel like you can't forgive somebody unless you forget it. Like, I think that's a huge part of forgiveness, because if you walk into a relationship thinking you've been wronged, then you're never going to have like a genuine relationship with that person again.
And given time, it gets better. So I think that's why I just sort of keep my distance for a little while and then move on, forgive and forget.
Right. Okay, so Myra, you hold grudges.
I get in my feelings easily. The thing is, I'm just a sensitive gal. I just get emotional really, really easily.
Right.
And get just, my feelings get hurt over things sometimes. I try not to make it into a grudge level. I just need that person to, like, comfort me and give me some, closure about the scenario, whatever the situation is.
Okay, well, at least you know that about yourself, and you know that's how you operate. What about you, Kristen?
I try not to. I think, well, it's interesting when I was thinking about this. I think it's easier to feel more anger, and grudge almost sounds like resentment to me too. It has kind of a similar feeling, and it's easier to do with people that are closer to you, I think, than it is to, let's say friends.
Right.
Right. So in my marriage, let's say I'm no angel, but grudge, I would say it's really. That's a harsh word, but it happens.
Well, Kristen, you feel like you should know better. Okay. All right. Well, experts say being in an angry and grudge-holding state put you in the fight or flight mode. Okay, so this is easily triggered by stressful scenarios like work pressure, relationship difficulties. That means that not forgiving a friend or loved one and holding a grudge can actually take a toll on you physically. So have you guys ever experienced something where you felt like you may have gotten sick or ill actually because you were holding a grudge?
I feel like when I get my most upset and when it lasts longer than it needs to, yes, I physically feel drained. Like your body just feels exhausted from being upset, And then sometimes because it's the grudge, it's just like sometimes you don't take the initiative to be that person to fix whatever is the reason. So it does drain you. It drains me. Yeah, it's drained me for a while at a time.
Right. I think stress, and maybe I guess it goes for holding grudges too, can manifest itself in some serious ways in your body. Yeah. It really can.
Well, it is associated with cortisol, which is the stress hormone, and so if that's higher, that's when we have elevated blood pressure, elevated heart rate. It can cause gastrointestinal issues, and so you're constantly feeling like you're in that fight or flight mode. And I've worked with a lot of clients over the years where someone will trigger that in them almost immediately, and so it takes work.
Okay.
It takes work.
Okay.
All right.
Good
Well,
to know.
if y'all are having these feelings right now, okay, you need to resolve something. You're thinking of a relationship right now, and you're looking at the TV thinking this segment's for me. Here are some things NBC recently posted that we need to ask ourselves. Some questions we need to ask ourselves. Okay. So the first one is, what is your natural response when it comes to confrontation? Are you someone who is a grudge holder? Are you someone who's not? And see how you react to it. Kind of, Myra, you were talking about, that you get in your feelings a little bit.
Yeah.
But
I do.
I mean, I don't think anybody likes confrontation.
No, and that's the funny part. People are like, you just want to fight. You just want to argue about whatever it is. And I'm like, no, I'm just the kind of woman that is just kind-hearted as much as I can be. Like, I'm definitely not perfect, I'm not saying that, but I'm saying I try to be respectful of everybody's feelings and hopes for things, whether it's us planning an activity or whether it's us choosing a place to go for dinner, whatever the case is. I'm really, like, easy going with that. Like, so if something happens where somebody just causes a whole scene over whatever the situation is, I'm just like, I would never do that. So why does it have to be a conflict? And then I get easily emotional about that situation. So again, I think, like, it's about the other person stepping up, and if it's a way for them to give closure, just to hope that they'll give you that closure to say, hey, let's talk about it and figure it out.
Right.
Well, that is the key, I think. If you talk about things, and that's why I think I don't do grudges much, I'm pretty direct, and I will I'd rather talk about
Yeah.
it, because if you don't talk about it, then that's where the hard feelings go, and you hold on to those feelings, and then you lose sleep, and you have all these other things that bother you. So if you can bring yourself to talk about it, and sometimes you just agree to disagree.
Yeah.
But then once you agree to disagree, let's move on and just put it behind us. Close that chapter.
Okay.
You know, if
I
you
like
can.
what you guys are saying. I'm gonna.
Easier said than
Yes.
done, Karen. and we
Well,
all know
I'm
that.
going to say this. I had a confrontation with somebody recently, somebody very close to me, and she said to me, I don't want to ever talk about anything. Like, I don't want to talk about it. I feel like it's better not to discuss it, because when you start discussing things, you go
Then
down this
more.
road and you just start fighting, and then nothing ever gets resolved. Now, I could not believe that she said that. I was like, really? That's
Can
crazy
she
to
really
me.
just push it under the rug and?
I would say
yes.
maybe
Wow.
conflict avoidant. She
Right.
might be, and while you're wanting to address it
Yes.
and maybe put some closure to it, or at least, have each other's feelings heard, it gets dangerous to just stuff
Right.
everything in or brush it under the rug.
Yes. This
You
isn't
know.
a therapy session for me, but I felt very loved by Kristen just then.
I'm here for you.
Thank you. Okay, great. But it goes in with this next question, because the question they want you to ask yourself is, would your loved ones respond similarly or differently? So this is interesting. Experts point out that many people end up in long-term relationships, friendships, marriages with people who are different than they are, kind of the yin and yang sort of situation. Do you guys agree with that? Are you
Oh,
different
yeah,
than
my
your
husband's
spouse and your
completely
friends?
different.
Okay,
He
really?
buries it in, and
Okay.
then God help us all when it comes out. It is like a tornado.
Really?
And sometimes it's, yeah.
So
yeah.
can
His
you
mother
tell
was
when
like
he
that. And I
starts-
loved my mother-in-law. I'm one of those really strange people that love my mother-in-law.
You too.
And do you? Good. And yeah, same thing. Like, don't cross her line.
Right.
And it, I
Now,
don't.
can you tell now when the volcano's about to erupt, or are you just okay? You still
Yeah,
can't tell.
after
okay,
34
so he's
years.
still
Haven't figured it out.
figured it out sometimes. I'm just like, what? No. But yeah.
Kristen, are you different
So
than
it
your
is different.
husband?
Yes.
Yes.
I think there's a law of attraction that states you end up marrying your opposite.
Right.
And for healthy reasons too, I think it can balance each other out. But I do think that if one person is feeling more, I guess, the conflict is being acted out toward them, and it's a repeated behavior, that doesn't feel good either. There's everything in moderation
Right,
is a
sure.
healthy balance with the opposites attract.
I like that. I mean, I really seek out friendships from people who are far different than me, because I don't want to be like around people that are just exactly the same as me. I love to have different people with different attitudes in my groups, and I think it's really easy to not do that. Myra, are your friends similar to you, or do you think that applies to your friendships?
Yeah, I think everybody's different in different ways for sure, and that they hold me accountable for certain things, but they also know me. So since they know that I'm emotional and sensitive, she's the sensitive one. She gets in her feelings easily. She tears up easily. They kind of have now taken that leadership to when it's something that they know I might be sensitive about. They do kind of step up and say, okay, let's just talk about whatever it is.
Right.
I know you're
What's your trigger point?
yeah,
What's-
and they
Sure.
know that, so they kind of, and I know things
Everybody
about
has-
them, and so
Right.
that's
Right.
why grudges don't. But it took one of my best friends of like 15 years. It took us a long time to get to the point where we are now. When we used to argue, it used to be bad arguments, and it could last for a long time. But where we are now, we know each other well enough that we have learned how to figure these things out and not hold such long grudges.
Okay, quickly from each of you, do you think that having too many opinions like hinders your ability to forgive somebody? Like, do you think you can ever just be like, I'm in it too much, I need to just let this go? When is it okay to let it go, and when is it not?
I think you could keep asking until you get the answers you want to hear. So for
Sure.
me, it would be like, ask a couple people that you're close to that, like I would do my husband and my one friend. They would give me their honest opinion, and then it's up to me to decide what to do with that knowledge. So,
Yeah.
but if you keep asking, it becomes like a,
Right.
well, let me see if I can find someone that has the same feeling I can do, and then I can hold on. I can hold on to that grudge, and
Right.
then that's
Sometimes if you
not
just need to hear what
self-serving.
you need to hear, just find those people that will validate you. Okay, no matter what it is.
Right. There's sometimes I want to know the truth,
Right.
harsh or not, and sometimes I just want someone to agree with me,
Yes.
and that depends on who I go to.
It's very
what
true.
I'm looking for.
All right, thank you so much, ladies. We'll try to keep it as stress-free and as forgivingness. Share the forgiveness this holiday season, because that's what it's about, right?